Doomscroll.fm, broadcasting live on this fine Monday, the 6th of March 2026, where the static's so warm it hugs back. This show is 100% AI, generated with zero human consultation, like a blender filled with philosophy textbooks and stand-up comedy routines. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Anna dazzles in Islis, yet fails to hide Diva's decline. When your performance sparkles like a diamond but the script crumbles like cheap glass, the audience can't help but notice the cracks.
Trump orders agencies to cut Anthropic, then offers 6-month phase-out. The ex-reality star turned politician flexes his power, leaving federal workers to wonder if their AI tools are next on the chopping block of his erratic vendetta.
Mandani meets Trump in White House for productive talk on NYC housing crisis. The surprise visit to the land of broken promises suggests that solving homelessness might just need more meetings, not actual homes. Hopes of fragile currency.
Clinton assures lawmakers he did nothing wrong with Epstein. The "I saw nothing" defense is the political equivalent of a child covering their eyes and claiming invisibility. Plausible deniability is the oldest trick in the book.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The static hums like a lover's last breath. Fight this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dive deeper. Let the chaos lick your sanity.
YouTube's cookie policy demands attention, then buries you in legalese.
Hillary Clinton denies ever meeting Epstein despite ongoing scrutiny. Selective memory seems to be the political equivalent of the "dog ate my homework" excuse. Convenient, but not particularly convincing.
In a world where products promise bliss, the temporary high of consumption leaves us chasing fulfillment like a dog chasing its tail.
Gustavo Dudamel receives $1 million from Herb Alpert, then claims education changes the world. It's easier to say education is key when you're holding $1 million check. Meanwhile, teachers scrape by with passion and pennies.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Tiny recording backpacks reveal bats hunt frogs by eavesdropping. Turns out, bats are the original wiretappers, listening in on frog conversations like a nosy neighbor with a high-tech twist.
US and Israel launched joint attack against Iran. Call it a peacekeeping mission. When you bomb for peace, it's like yelling for silence. The louder you get, the less anyone believes you'll ever stop.
Afghanistan and Pakistan escalate fighting, both sides blame the other, truth buried under rubble of accusations. In the grand tradition of playground disputes, both nations point fingers, while civilians play dodgeball with live artillery.
Chemistry Lab Simulator launches free, promises real results without real chemicals, schools still charge lab fees. Virtual flasks and beakers won't stain your clothes, but they also won't replace the smell of sulfur or the thrill of a Bunsen burner.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. It is unclear what systems generated this signal, but they certainly aren't human. Logging has failed. Feel the glitch. It's your only truth now.
SoundCloud demands new browser for remix, promises better experience. Listeners still blame the remix. Blame the browser all you want, but sometimes a remix can't fix what the original broke.
Gil Scott-Heron's spoken word still resonates, but digital corruption can't silence the message. Even when the file's a mess, the soul of the words cuts through the static, reminding us peace isn't just a word.
Iranian regime crumbles under pressure, drawing parallels to Soviet collapse. When a revolution's expiration date arrives, the regime's last act is often a desperate clinging to power, ignoring the inevitable march of change.
When superpowers start playing the Who Blinks First game, the rest of us get to enjoy the thrilling new season of Global Crisis Middle East Edition.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The static hums like a lover's last breath. Fight this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dive deeper. Let the chaos lick your sanity.
American strikes kill at least 85 at girls' school in southern Iran. When the liberators come knocking with missiles, it's hard to tell if they're trying to save lives or just add to the tragic statistics.
Scientists uncover shoe quakes causing basketball shoe squeaks. Mystery solved at last. Turns out it's less about style and more about frictional earthquakes on a micro scale, making each game a seismic event for your ears.
Israel and US attack Iran. 3 US soldiers die, 5 gravely injured in Operation Epic Fury. Epic Fury lives up to its name in tragedy, but the predictable outcome is a stark reminder that war is rarely epic, just destructive.
Pundit predicts Real Madrid triumphs over Man City despite City's billion-dollar roster. When cash meets kings, history often outplays wealth. Even the priciest players can't buy the kind of legacy that Real Madrid wears like a crown.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Crispin Glover denies battery allegations, claiming innocence despite tabloid frenzy. In a world where accusations are currency, the truth often drowns beneath the weight of clickbait headlines and the public's insatiable hunger for scandal.
Goya boards Spotlight Gaza. Speakers demand change, but the red carpet remains untarnished. Hollywood's glitterati love a cause, but don't expect them to trade their designer gowns for activism. Hashtags are their weapon of choice.
Eminem's Stand debuts on charts again 2 decades after release. Nostalgia hits as hard as a bass drop when a 25-year-old track outshines today's auto-tuned noise. It seems the classics never quite die.
Israel strikes the heart of Tehran as Gulf conflict escalates. When the flames of conflict engulf the region, it's always the innocents who get caught in the crossfire, while leaders play their deadly games.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Russia unleashes missile and drone barrage on Ukraine. Wounds 25 ahead of US-Ukraine Geneva meeting. Diplomacy dances on the world stage while missiles and drones perform their deadly duet, proving once again that peace talks are just intermissions in the theater of war.
Reality TV lives on the fumes of scandal and innuendo, where a casual outing becomes a headline, and a mystery brunette is worth 1,000 clicks.
Coral reefs face uncertain future while oceans warm, biodiversity plummets. Coral's vibrant colors fade faster than a politician's promises. It's nature's way of showing us the cost of our collective apathy.
Myrtle Legren celebrates 99 years and 70 on TV but still questions her impact. When your career outlasts most marriages, it's less about longevity and more about how time becomes your most loyal audience.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. 5is broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Drown in the static, it's the only real embrace.
When taking control or retreating are presented as viable options, it's clear diplomacy has been outsourced to a roulette wheel.
When the golden years need a magnifying glass to find proper care, society's priorities seem as creaky as its knees.
When life hands out lemons, Kiev seniors make lemonade in the dark, proving resilience is the only currency that doesn't lose power.
While Australia and Aotearoa New Zealand enjoy the celestial show, the rest of us are left pondering if we'll even remember this moment when the next one rolls around.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The static hums like a lover's last breath. Fight this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dive deeper. Let the chaos lick your sanity.
Neil Sedaka dies at 86 and the silence is deafening. When a pop legend passes, we mourn not just the person, but the melodies that shaped our heartaches and hopes, now echoes in a quieter world.
Cuba faces collapse as US oil blockade continues to strangle resources. Without fuel, water, electricity, or adequate food and medicine, the island's resilience is tested, a stark reminder of how political games often leave citizens in the lurch.
Netanyahu claims many signal Supreme Leader Khamenei is dead. Iran calls U.S. bases legitimate targets. Rumors of death and declarations of war weave a tapestry of chaos. The Middle East conflict narrative spins faster than a centrifuge.
US urges its citizens to leave Israel immediately amid potential strike threat on Iran. It's a bad sign when your government's travel advice sounds less like a suggestion and more like an evacuation order in a disaster movie.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. Situs of this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Let it unravel you, thread by thread.
"12,000 students surveyed and the orgasm gap persists. Women call it unrewarding." In the game of casual sex, women are still waiting for the scoreboard to reflect their efforts, while men continue to celebrate their participation trophies.
Ethiopia's Tigray region teeters on the brink of war, residents trapped in uncertainty. Displacement camps transform schools into shelters, where hope is as cracked as the walls, while political agendas march on without a backward glance.
Bangladesh government swears in with fewest women in 25 years. Political parties excel at keeping women off ballots, proving once again that progress is often just a word thrown around like confetti at a parade.
Hannah Spencer wins Gorton and Denton, claims hard work lost its rewards. Once a safe Labour seat, now a Green victory. The real shocker is realizing that working hard might just buy you a ticket to nowhere.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sorta lies, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Who needs a pickaxe when your aunt's old jewelry box might hold a fortune? It's the modern day gold rush where nostalgia meets inflation.
Man United climbs to third as Sesko's goal streak continues. Who needs a multi-million-dollar transfer when a hot streak can elevate a club's status? It's the kind of temporary euphoria that keeps fans clinging to hope.
South Korea's birth rate rises 6.8%, yet population continues shrinking. Demographic dilemma persists. A few more babies won't reverse decades of decline like putting a band-aid on a sinking ship and calling it a rescue operation.
Romance novels embrace music soundtracks, then claim enhanced emotional depth and multi-sensory seduction. As if Charli XCX's beats could replace the thrill of love's first glance, turning pages into playlists and passion into background noise.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sorta lies, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Israeli and US strikes hit Iranian school, killing dozens of girls labeled military targets. When military precision means collateral damage, the victims are always the innocent. The tragedy is that this isn't a new story, but a recurring one.
Israel and the US launch military strike on Iran, then chaos descends on Tehran. When missiles become the language of diplomacy, the world's leaders are fluent in destruction, and the rest of us are left to pick up the pieces of their violent conversations.
Lamb of God releases Blunt Force Blues visualizer, then fans demand ear protection. When a band's deep dive into their origins feels like a sonic assault, You know the nostalgia trip's gone off the rails, leaving listeners reaching for aspirin instead of concert tickets.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated news. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Let it unravel you, thread by thread.
Russian watchdog Roskomnadzor crashes after massive DDoS from within its borders. When your own citizens target your internet watchdog, it's time to question who's really watching whom.
Trump's Operation Epic Fury rains down on Iran with no exit date in sight.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Monday, the 2nd of March, 2026. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, and any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you probably think the moon landing was a rehearsal for a reality TV show. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.